Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rabbana la tu'akhizna in nasina aw akhtana. Rabbana wa la tahmil alayna isran kama hamaltahu ala allazina min qablina. Rabbana wa la tuhammilna ma la taqata lana bih. Wa'fu anna waghfir lana warhamna anta maulana fansurna ala al-qawmil kafirin. Amin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li wazira min ahli Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri washriku fi amri kay nusabbihaka katsira wa nazkuraka katsira innaka kunta bina basira. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. We will continue our discussion on the Ascension. So last time, basically, we studied about the concept of time that we kind of named, that we hear about. It was a beautiful discussion, as I remember. We studied the verse that is in the red posted here, right? And which says, and they argue there's nothing beyond our worldly life. We die, others are born, and nothing destroys us but the passage of time. Yet they have no knowledge in support of this claim. They only speculate. So these moments that we experience are nothing but the manifestation of the qualities of the one who is giving existence to this world. That's why we kind of discussed. And the changes that happens as at every moment. And we call that, basically name that as time. So there are a lot of things that kind of are named in the current secular education. For example, nature, accidents, luckiness, randomness, and time also being one of them. And cause and effect. So a lot of things that we need to be mindful of as how the message of the Quran kind of brings to light for us to just pay attention and not be carried away by the material sciences, interpretations, and claims. Right. So the author was describing all the different, basically the conversation was between a fictional person asking, how can I believe in the ascension that happened so in an instant, so fast, traveling so much distance in a way that is impossible for the current trend of human minds to think about it. And then the author kind of gave the examples of how the imagination can go and traverse a lot of distance. When you dream, you go through many different worlds in a way. So there are creations that just are not comprehensible in a way that physically we experience them within ourselves. So I will continue, inshallah. If anybody wants to share any thoughts or reminders, you can always jump in. So continuing on this concept, thus since time is like a hue, shade, or ribbon of motion, right? So we discussed that it's just described as a shade or ribbon of motion, but it is something that is the period or the platform of the continuous act of the Lord of the universe. So there's continuous motion and change that is happening. And we call that the concept of time, which is nothing but a shade. So a rule that is enforced in motion is also enforced in time. And so, although the things we observe in the period of 1 hour would be equaled in amount by the conscious individual mounted on the hour hand of the clock, like the one mounted on the hand counting tenths of a second. So in his text, the author gave the example of different hour hands. Let me rewind that. I'll go back a little bit. So he said, let us imagine a clock which measures the speed of the movement displayed by man, cannonballs, sound, light, electricity, spirit, and imagination. So all of them, if you're measuring them in terms of what the speed of each of these are, right? So some of them are like much, much greater, 60 times greater. Another seconds, much greater than the previous one. So this is what the example of the hour hand or the clock that he's mentioning. So he said, okay, let me rewind. So now let us suppose there are two people. One of them is as though mounted on the hour hand and observes according to its motion, while the other is on the hand counting tenths of a second. There will be an enormous difference as great as the relation between our clock and the annual orbit of the Earth as regards to the things of these two individuals in the same period of time. Right. So let's continue. So I'll continue from here. And so although the things we observe in the period of 1 hour would be equal in amount by the conscious individual mounted on the hour hand of the clock, like the one mounted on the hand counting tenths of a second. God's noble messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, mounted Burak of divine assistance. Interesting. Burak of divine assistance, basically something all arranged by the one who is taking care of everyone, everything. So divine assistance, and in the same space of time. In that specified hour, like lightning, traversed the entire sphere of contingency. Saw the wonders of the outer aspects of things and the aspects which look to their creator. But traversed the entire sphere of contingency and saw the outer aspects, the physical things that we see, and then what the meaning behind it, the inner aspect, which looks to their creator, the one who gives them existence, to all those things. Ascended to the point of the sphere of necessity, was honored with divine conversation, and favored with the vision of divine beauty. Received his decree and returned to his duty. Received his decree and returned to his duty. It was possible for this to happen, and it did happen. So the case basically is being made about the different kind of concept of time that we have. For example, in outer space, the time that we say moves much slowly than compared to a lower sphere like the Earth. So for example, in the mountains, it's a little different, a few seconds difference. So there's a whole relative aspect of time, how you're measuring it and what is being measured. And of course, then we spoke about the speed of the spirit, speed of light, speed of spirit, speed of imagination, which all have their way of traveling, right? How can really one measure the speed of imagination? It's just instant, all of a sudden. So this is how the author is kind of relating it, if it makes sense to us as well, that all these concept of time that we have is based on our own personal thought process, our own, is a made-up word, basically, time. So we spoke about that kind of last time in terms of how the whole time that we say is just the manifestation of the qualities and the changes happening at that point. All right, so I'll continue unless anybody wants to chime in.
Yeah, do you,
Brother, you're muted again.
sorry. The wonders, he saw the wonders of the outer aspect of the things and the aspect which look to their creator. So sphere of contingency, these kind of terms, what can you just share with us what you think about these terms? He traversed, it means traveled, an entire sphere of contingency. The technical word bothers me a lot. So, what do we understand from it?
So, yeah, okay, Faria, go ahead.
I remember last time we talked about inner and outer aspect of things. The outer aspect is pretty much what appears to us physically, and the inner aspect is the meaning or the quality that I interact with that points to its creator. And so entire sphere of contingency is pretty much referring to the whole universe, our experiences, which to us seem very interrelated. For example, I follow steps here to achieve results. However, and so things are interrelated in terms. So let's take the example of a farmer sowing a seed. In order for a plant to grow, the order or steps need to be followed in terms of tilling the soil, watering, and etc. And so every step to me, which seems steps, these are all interrelated and dependent on an absolute source to bring it into existence. So for me, what may look like episode 1, episode 3, the way these episodes are coming into existence is through a divine source. So anyhow, the entire sphere of contingency means things are interrelated, yet dependent on something not of the nature of this universe, period.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was thinking also, the whole universe basically, which is everything and whatever's created is contingent upon something else. So the whole sphere, basically the entire creation, that is dependent on whoever gives it existence.
The outer aspects of the things.
Yeah, so the outer aspect, I would say the qualities that we see in the universe, or what it tells us, for example, mercy, wisdom, beauty, art, care, right? So all those different, by looking at observing the whole, every creation, you get first the view, look at the physical form, shape, but then you go and then see the meaning behind it, that it starts communicating with you. So the thing itself starts to talk to you in a way. So if you look at, let's say, an insect, or you look at it carefully, and then physically you see something, a created being, and then start seeing the meaning behind it. It's doing a particular duty, it has a particular task, it's the way it's behaving, all the different qualities it's manifesting in terms of its being. So you start seeing that, and then whoever gave it existence made it for some purpose that thing is doing. So that those aspects, from that thing, you start communicating with your creator in a way. So when you look at those qualities in that thing, for example, when you see art or wisdom, you start looking for the artist or the one who has that wisdom. So through the thing, start looking to the creator.
You mean demonstrating the qualities of its maker?
Yes.
Yeah, or the qualities are not really outer aspect. Outer aspect is we can see something in the universe. I don't know. Let's see. I've seen a squirrel, and squirrel's outer aspect is what it appears to my eye, material appearance of it, but inner and the aspect which look to their creator means in its existence, all the qualities, really, the one who made me must have this quality, this quality, this quality, this quality, all the qualities when you study the squirrel's body and squirrel's being a squirrel quality, it has senses, it has life, which are not physical. All the existence of these aspects is as if it is the place where the qualities of its maker is manifesting. So this is the aspect which look to its creator. Am I right?
Yes, that's how I would see it. Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, we might have talked about it. We may know about those people who follow the video recordings. They make wonder what are they talking about here, and also another term which is used 2 lines up from this line. We are mounting lines, only lines up this mountain. You know, the God's noble messenger, peace be upon him, mounted Burak of divine assistance. What does it mean?
No idea.
So basically, Burak of divine assistance, anything that's in creation, you can look at, for example, the squirrel can become a Burak of divine assistance because it's given existence by someone. Nothing of this universe gave it existence to it. So it becomes the means of performing the ascension in a way. That's what Burak of divine assistance. Or if I'm eating food, that food becomes my Burak of divine assistance, where I can connect it to relate that to the qualities of the creator of that food, seeing, yeah, all these beautiful things.
How about its relation to the prophet's ascension? It means Miraj. Because in Miraj, it took on a Burak. So the author is interpreting the Burak, the term Burak, as Burak of divine assistance. I mean, definitely the text is saying, explaining what really Burak represents it, relating this term to the clock example. The clock example depends on my capacity. I may be mounted on hour's needle, did you say? There are several needles turning. Which term the text used?
I think hand,
Hand.
hour.
Okay. Hour's hand.
Yeah.
I mounted on hour's hand. And how much of I can observe and experience of the universe in our on hand goes from I don't know, I live in New York, so maybe one side of New York to another, but New York City, of course. And another person is mounted on the hand, which is hundreds of or maybe thousands of a second, thousands of a second, millions of a second. So this hand, how fast it moves in an hour. Oh, goes around the universe, maybe. So Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, because of his capacity, my capacity is that much, but his capacity can travel on the hand, which really demonstrates the millionth of a second. And you're in a second, it turns million times the speed of this hand, you can imagine. I think this is represented in Burak. But this is only possible with divine assistance. He cannot really travel on it as a created being. But with divine assistance, he gains the speed according to the capacity of the divine being. Divine being means absolute being, not limited with the conditions of the created world. Absolute being. So this absolute being gives him speed, if you like. How fast it will be? Absolute, infinitely fast. It means in the moment, traveled all the universe. What does it mean? Observed all the outer and inner aspect of this what was the word? A sphere of contingency. It means the universe, as you explained, then Feriha explained. Yeah, traveled all of it. Of course, it helps us to remember much earlier in the text, the author said the ahadiyya, uniqueness of God manifesting itself in each being. In each being manifests its qualities. So depending on the capacity of the person who studies, go back to the same example, squirrel, and then studies a fly, and then studies a plant, for example, a cherry plant, cherry tree, studies this much, he can see the manifested qualities on these created beings or on these contingent beings, manifested qualities. This has this vision. This person study 3 or 4 pieces of the universe. It has this vision. But the prophet was enabled by traveling, enabled to travel by the help of the divine assistance, whole universe in a moment, because absolute being is making it travel. So from there, he experienced the outer sphere, outer aspect of the things and inner aspect. Of course, the aspect which look to their creator is we call, I think, meaningful side of the universe. The aspect of the universe which demonstrates the qualities of its maker. I think we all remember, we mentioned a lot in our discussions, melekutiya. That is what the aspect which look to their creator is mentioned in the Quran as melekutiya. As the Quran says, fi melekutu samawati wal ard. Everything is, everything declares the qualities of its maker. Okay, I think Feriha is waiting, sorry.
Thank you, Brother Ali. So this is Burak. We can utilize anything that we are interacting with to get the inner aspect of it. But you're saying, from what I understood, is in the historical side of the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him's ascension, he was mounted on the Barak of divine assistance, as in pretty much enabled, like, hey, like we use our free will. Let's say if I want to mount on the Barak, if I'm eating something, I really have to use my free will to force myself and try to see the inner aspect of thing. However, in the case of the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to set an example for the human being, pretty much he was led, as in pushed by the wind, where I don't, maybe he didn't have to use his free will, or just that's it. Like you said, enabled by the creator of the universe. This is how I understood it, because he was the chosen one and employed. Yeah. Question mark.
All right. Yeah. So your question is basically Yes, employed, correct. And the free will, you said, everybody has free will, but is given free will. Your brother,
Yeah,
you
but it's
yeah.
sorry.
It is inevitable to ask, why did the prophet need the Buraq? Since his travel, his journey was taken care of by the absolute being. He has enabled him divine assistance. But still, hadith narrations also mention he traveled with a means. Have you thought about it? With a means, something, Buraq. But what is Buraq? Need this interpretation, but something, a vehicle. So why did he need a vehicle?
Because we live in a physical universe. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what to do with things.
Do you mean physical universe with contingent existence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I thought of it, but I wanted to hear you and see whether I'm right or wrong. So you thought on the same way with me. So this, because he's a created being, for example, anything within the sphere of contingency, it means in this universe, created universe, can manifest the qualities of its creator only when they are created within the conditions of this universe. So Muhammad والسلام, was a part of this universe, created being. That is why his journey must take place, although in respect of Buraq is God's quality. It means absolute quality. Out respect of Buraq is a vehicle, because we cannot observe and experience the manifested qualities of the Creator without appearing within the conditions of this contingent universe. Even my spirit is created. My life, if there was no physical being, a body, can I experience the manifestation of life? As a created being? No. Muhammad والسلام, cannot also explain, to experience the journey as a created being without a means. And the hadith narration, although it is not a Quranic word, as far as I know, if I'm wrong, correct me, I might have missed it. It is hadith narration emphasizes on it. I use the means, the Prophet said. A means, which is called Buraq. Of course, no one knew what Buraq is, but it is a derivation. I think we talked about it last week or earlier on with Berk. Berk means lightning. Lightning is not enough for this ascension. Speed of lightning is limited. So it must be faster than lightning. But I cannot imagine any speed faster than the Buraq. That is why Buraq represents the fastest means that we human beings can imagine. Fastest, the speed of light. Fastest means that we imagine. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exhaust the capacity of the Creator, which is infinite. So we we have to understand that Burak is for us, not for the Creator. So it means whatever is possible to take the Prophet to make it travel the universe, observe the outer aspect of the universe, and if you like, make a simple inner aspect of the universe, which means manifested qualities referring to the Creator. So whoever made the universe, all the qualities must be originated from him. That is what we understand. So experience all of this so fast, but reminds us that it doesn't make the Prophet a non-created being. Uncreated or non-created being, I think, is the best word. Non-created, he's still a created being. He needs a means to travel. Otherwise, God's name or the quality doesn't manifest in the contingent or world. It means in the universe. It must have some means.
Yeah, that makes sense. So every quality, it has to go through certain means. Yeah, you're right. So if you look at a thing, yeah, you need to look at something or experience something. And then you can conclude about the meaning behind them, see what they are pointing to. So in this contingent world, definitely we need the contingency to be able to conclude about our Creator. Anything else for you?
And so this point about divine assistance, mounted Barak of divine assistance, if I were to connect this with yesterday's class about the path of prophethood, then this makes sense because, I was wondering that every Barak or means or Barak is pretty much has an aspect of divine assistance, but it's really how am I observing it, right? So for example, we gave the example of the tree yesterday, tree being the hand of divine assistance, and then you get the fruit from it. But in the path of prophethood, you don't say that I'm getting the fruit through the tree, rather this is coming from the provider or the nourisher, like a razak. So everything is just seen as divine assistance. This is how I'm trying to make sense of it, if that makes any sense, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah, that makes sense to me.
Mm.
Alhamdulillah. Adam, you had your hand up or something? Were you asking something or commenting on something? I saw your mic unmute.
I'm sorry. No, that was an accident.
Okay,
I'm
no
following.
worries.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're
Salam
okay. Any other comments on this so far, this paragraph? So yeah, these words are important, contingency and the outer aspect and the aspects which look to their creator and whatever to mount something physical, as we are living in a contingent sphere as humans, as created beings. We need something created to be able to journey or make the ascension, to do anything.
So what's being said here is pretty much a direct communication with the source of your existence can happen with the blink of an eye. Just like they were mentioning here, lightning, right?
Yeah, like the example you gave of the fruit from the trees.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
getting directly, you feel that, or your qualities experience that in a way, that
Wow.
a direct communication coming from my Lord.
Inshallah, maybe experience that. It will be like an earthquake within oneself. In a good way.
Yeah, I think it's if we are more in tune with our human side, our spirit, rather than just seeing in the body kind of life, then definitely, I mean, it's doable as the example. And the model is there for us to follow or look into. Okay, so I'll continue unless there's some comment. All right. And again, it comes to mind that you would say, yes, so it could happen, it is possible. But everything possible does not occur, does it? So a possibility does not occur, does it? Is there anything else similar to this so that it can be accepted? How can the occurrence of something to which there are no similar cases be posited through only probability? It's becoming a tougher question, actually. Anybody can ask this as well, based on the different time spheres, or we call it time, and speeds of light, imagination, and living in this contingent world. So let's see what the author replies.
Can you emphasize a little bit more? What does the question mean? Are they saying, I mean, I understand the first part, like, people saying, oh, are you serious? Can this happen?
It's just saying
Because probability part, is it probable for this to happen for human beings now? Is that what, in other words, if I were to rephrase this question, would it be, how is it probable for something like this to happen? Or how is it probable for
this whole ascension to happen?
yeah. Okay. I think I just got caught up with the probability part. No worries.
Okay, so let's see what the author says. There are so many similar cases to this that they cannot be enumerated. For example, anyone who possesses sight can ascend with his eyes from the ground to the planet Neptune in a second. Anyone who has knowledge can mount the laws of astronomy with his intellect and travel beyond the stars in a minute. He's using the word mount again. And travel.
Knowledge here. So astronomy knowledge can be a mount for us, Brock for us.
Right. So any sciences that we're studying or any field that we are involved with can become a burak and one can travel beyond this many layers in seconds or in a minute as measured. I mean, even the sight, because eyes are something different from the power of seeing, right? So sight is something that
Now,
travels many distances. Yeah, go ahead.
our eye can be likened to Brock to see, for example, a planet on the sky. Using or mounting on the Burak of I, human spirit observes the universe, the stars, as he said, Neptune planet, planet Neptune, for example. So these are, I think in order to understand this, for example, astronomy, knowledge of astronomy, so we can use this knowledge and communicate with the content of this knowledge. It means imagine it or through intellect, understand it, what is going on there, out aspect of it, and also melekut aspect of it. It means the qualities pointing to its creator. Also, we can understand this. It helped me to understand this by using again our classical book example. When I read the book, on the mount or burak of the book, I can receive the knowledge. And although I am reading letters physically, but I am receiving the information, knowledge of the author, and I am directly communicating with the knowledge of the author. Although I am reading page by page, but I can communicate with the author of the, with the knowledge of the author as I read the book. So in this case, book is the burak, and aspect of the book which points to the knowledge of the author is information I learned from there. And so I can communicate with the author through my senses, all my senses. Although author might have died, but I am always in, this is of course an analogy. So I communicate with the author easily, without any taking time. As I read it, I contact myself or my understanding, comprehension of the knowledge with the knowledge of the author immediately. Somehow it helps me how intellect travel in a minute, all the galaxies that astronomy, science of discipline of astronomy lets us learn.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Yes, it makes, a little more clear about the book example was very good as an example of the means or the burak to understand the knowledge and what it points to. So astronomy with intellect, anyone who has belief can, by mounting his thought on the action and pillars of the obligatory prayers through a sort of ascension, leave the universe behind and go as far as the divine presence. So
Here, action is important here. Why? Action is physical. Physical, what I can do, standing up, bowing down, prostrating, sitting, or my tongue is reciting. All these actions should become my mount and realize my ascension to communicate with the creator whom I am worshiping. Takes me to divine presence. But without action, without recitation, without reflection, I cannot be in the presence of God. It means divine presence. It means I am an abd performing all this action. Through this action, I am expressing what? Whom I am worshiping, because I am a created being, so I stand up. It means pay due respect before the divine presence. So by doing this, I am reflecting in my action, it means in my createdness, in this position, experiencing the manifestation of the qualities in this action, through this action of the creator of this event. It means I am standing up as an abd, and this standing up demonstrates or reflects the qualities of the creator, and I can experience it. Now, we summarized it, although I couldn't explain it properly. I'm not satisfied with what I said. In my createdness, I can experience the creator's qualities within my createdness. So practicing my createdness in different forms, I am experiencing the different forms of manifestations of my creator. For example, when I stand up, when I bow down, when I go prostration. So the best example, in my prostration, I am saying, oh, whatever I have in my createdness, do not belong to me. So who these qualities in my existence belong to? He is the one who is beyond highness. I mean, beyond the capacity of the universe. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, I say it also verbally. So through this action, I am performing my Miraj ascension through this action in order to be at the divine or in the divine presence. Prayer is really very meaningful. So while we are praying, we should do these actions with a consciousness that requires, this consciousness requires to remember that I am experiencing the outer aspect of my action and realizing the aspect which points to its creator. All these actions in the prayer. Opposite way. In my createdness, I see his creatorship like this. In my worship, I am experiencing or expressing the one who deserves to be worshipped. So, Abd, Ma'bud. In my ubudiyya, it means performing worship, I see his Ma'bud as Ma'bud. It means he is the one, only the one who deserves to be appreciated or declared his absolute qualities.
Inshallah. Also, for example, there's a hadith, I think, right, that also says about the prayers. It's like a sort of an ascension of the believer. So if there are meaningful prayers that are, while we're just not reduced to actions, but as Brother Lee was explaining, relating it to the worshipful attitude to the Abd and Mabud relationship. So using my human qualities and senses and feelings to prostrate before my Lord. So leave the universe behind and go as far as the divine presence. As far as the divine presence in the actions that we are doing. So anyone who sees with his heart, and any saint of perfection can, through his spiritual journey, traverse in 40 days to the divine throne and the sphere of the divine names and attributes. Sees with his heart and any saint of perfection. Spiritual journey, so not the physical journey, can go to the divine presence or achieve the sphere of the divine names and attributes. And certain persons, even like Sheikh Jilani and Imam Rabbani, truthfully recorded their spiritual ascensions as far as the throne, which lasted a minute. So through our prayers, action, so there has to be like a spiritual journey in a way. Right? So we have to use our feelings and reasoning and thoughts and perform our actions. And that's how we can enter the sphere of the divine names and attributes, the qualities of what they point to, who they belong to. So the demonstrations so the actions must reflect that awareness. All right, any other final thoughts for Iha? Go ahead.
Would you say that the action-wise prayers for us would be the only way, or would be the best way to achieve this state of ascension as mentioned by the author? Like that's what is being proposed? Because, I mean, let's face it, the way at least I can speak for myself, we live our lives here is everything on the go, you're eating on the go. I mean, just like a little break during your regular routine to just thank the Lord for your existence, during that, say, midday prayer or sunset prayer. I think those are, so that there could be possibility to attain this state of ascension. Do you agree?
Is that a question for everyone?
It's a question for everybody, yes.
I would say prayer is experiencing this mi'raj, ascension, within my own actions, within my own being. As I prefer to do something in my actions, but it doesn't exclude that we can get on a block of an, I don't know whatever the example you use, squirrel example. Use the squirrel as a block and reflect on it and see the qualities of God manifested in it as much as we can. And then using these qualities, we can relate the owner of these qualities through reflection and be in his presence. You are making it. And of course, it needs to eliminate this causes that we may say are because of this, because of this. Direct creation we can observe in the existence of a being, in the example squirrel. But at the same time, through my own action also is possible to be to practice my ascension, my miraj, in my own action.
Thank you. That was very helpful. And then I had a second question about these two scholars that are mentioned here. They truthfully recorded their spiritual ascensions, as in they shared what's the experience like. I don't know if anyone ever heard of or has read their experiences. Is that what is being mentioned here? Because it would be interesting to see how other people's have experienced ascension.
Now, it is very common, actually. They mention, lots of sources mention about the spiritual journey of certain people. So they are famous about it. That's why, since these people mentioned that we have experienced this through spiritual journey, we experience this, they say. But in their method, it may take longer, as I said here, in 40 days, or in a certain people who have experienced this spiritual journey and became a kind of reflection in their life, as Imam Rabbani, Jailani, spiritual ascension took place in a minute. What the source of literature narrate about it, about their, how do you say, karamet, God's favor for them, if you want to translate it into English. God's favor for them, and the people are not accustomed with what they say, what they do. So they experience of it and they witnessed and narrated it. So as a result of spiritual ascension.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Any other comment before we close for today?
Have you finished when?
Yes, we can finish this before the
Yeah.
third principle. Yep. So let's finish this. Furthermore, there is the coming and going of the angels,
Mhm.
which are luminous bodies from the divine throne to the earth, and from the earth to the throne in a short period of time. So the meaning that represent the meaningful side of the creation, the angelic side, goes in a very short period of time. Happens from conscious
Remember the
beings.
book example.
Yep,
Remember?
the book example is good.
Yeah.
So by reading the book, communicating, I communicate with the author of the book.
Yeah, immediately.
Mhm. And the people of paradise ascend to the gardens of paradise from the plane of resurrection in a short space of time. So what is the people of paradise? So the ones with belief have a satisfied feeling within themselves, and so they can ascend to the gardens of paradise that way. Of course, this many examples demonstrate that it is pure wisdom, completely rational, and an occurrence about which there can be no doubt that the person of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who is the Lord of all the saints, the leader of all the believers, the head of the people of paradise, and is accepted by all the angels, should have an ascension, should have had an ascension which was the means of spiritual journey, and that it should have been in a form appropriate to his rank.
So we understand from here then all the, for example, here, the Lord of the saints, it means all saints, it means those people who are always close with God, learned this closeness, how to be close with God from the teachings of the Prophet. The leader of all the believers, again, I mean, only through the message that the Prophet Muhammad transferred to us was possible when we received the message from him. And in his practical life, practicing it, we are learning from him. So all the believer, he is the leader of all the believers. The head of the people of paradise, it means the best person who appreciated God's qualities and deserved to receive at the highest level of manifestation of God's qualities in paradise. So he must have his ascension according to the appropriate, according to the rank he is deserving. It means his journey must be the fastest and widest and highest.
Right, as the role model, the teacher, as you said, the head of the people of paradise, definitely. Yes, that makes sense.
Would you say that a form appropriate to his rank has to do with neediness? The more one realizes their neediness?
Yeah, that and using the qualities
Right?
to the best abilities, to the maximum potential, like human beings, if they use their human qualities to the best, that's already good. Okay. All right, so I guess we can stop here for today. So inshallah, we will continue with the third principle, which talks about the wisdom and purpose of the ascension. So inshallah, stay tuned for that next week, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين بمدسرة الفاتحة.
Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.